Hello and welcome. I'm Brittany Elliott. I help mothers reconnect with themselves through self-care so they can create a loving and fulfilling relationship with themselves. Thank you for being here. This podcast is all about simple, sustainable self-care that will help you navigate your motherhood journey and thrive as a woman. We are all at different stages of our motherhood journey while overcoming different challenges along the way. And we are all women with passions, goals, gifts, and talents that didn't stop when our kids came into our lives. Motherhood is easy to get lost in, and it's a big change. Change is growth, and growth can be messy, exhausting, overwhelming, beautiful, and amazing. In each episode, I hope you find a healthy mix of inspiration, motivation, and accountability as you continue navigating your motherhood journey. This is what self-care looks like. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to What Self-Care Looks Like. I am Brittany Elliott and I am a self-care mom life management coach, and I am here to help you prioritize your needs and practice self-care so that you can feel vibrant, empowered, and fulfilled. And I hope that from these episodes you really start to believe in the fact that you can be a good mother without self-sacrificing, without being overwhelmed, without being burnt out, and you can really just thrive and have joy in your motherhood experience. And today, and I'm going to be using my phone for my notes this time, which I rarely do, but this is how this week has been going, and this is how we're recording. So stay with me. So today we're going to talk about the most common societal pressures that are impacting working moms, and these are having a very negative impact on us overall. And societal pressures, that's one thing that you hear talked about anytime the conversation about challenges in the motherhood journey. They really come down to, well, there are so many societal pressures that we're up against, but not enough are we talking about specifically what are those pressures in detail and how they really impact us. And my stand on this, just so you know, is that there's a couple of things that happen here. At some point in our lives, we ourselves are the ones who become society. So that's one layer. And the other part of that is that we don't have to buy everything we are sold in terms of societal pressures. So we get into this part in our lives where we are maturing in life and we are becoming the people who are shaping outcomes for future generations. So these societal pressures that I am going to speak of, I'm hoping that my daughter does not have to go up against them, because at this level, we are working to dissolve them. So I hope that kind of makes sense. But we, and the mothers who are mothers right now, we are up against a few of these things. And so I want to talk about each of them. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to highlight them, give a little more details about them. And then, as always, I do a recap of what we talked about, and then I'm going to send you on your merry way. But 2 things before that. Number 1, enrollment is open for Reconnect right now. Our final cohort of 2024 kicks off October 28th. So if you're interested in getting some group coaching before this year ends, because you have been struggling to settle into the motherhood experience, or you haven't been finding joy in the motherhood experience, or you really just want to learn better ways to manage your burnout, curb your mental load, or just build community with other moms who are going through the things that you are going through in real time, check the program out at backtoo5.com/reconnect. And the second thing I want to say is that, as you may or may not know, Back to and 5 is built around 5 wellness points. So we have social wellness, physical wellness, spiritual wellness, emotional wellness, and intellectual wellness. They all really work together to help us feel the most whole as mothers. And a lot of women are still not building their self-care routines around this, in pursuit of overall wellness, I should say. So, if you aren't really sure where to start your self care routine and where to focus your self care activities because you're just not sure where you are in your overall wellness, make sure you take the free quiz at back2in5.com/quiz. Okay, that was all the housekeeping. So, let's hop into these societal pressures. So, number one, um, is, and I'm going to read these out as statements. So, one pressure is that motherhood is the sacrifice of self in order to be the omnipresent caregiver. So, it's this idea and pressure that in order to be a good mother, you have to be everything to your child. And in order to be everything to your child, you have to sacrifice pieces of yourself and make a lot of sacrifices in your life so that you can just be a caregiver. So it's basically this societal pressure, this societal expectation is basically telling us once you become a mother, everything else in your life halts and everything else comes second to you being a mother. And the problem with that is it completely removes the fact that you are a woman, you are a human, you are a person with your own needs, wants, values, traumas, things that you're going through, that not all that can always take a back seat in order for you to show up your best self to be the caregiver that your child needs. So basically, this expectation is telling women, hey, regardless of whatever you had going on up to this point, whatever you were good at, whatever your interests are, however you were doing on the career track that you were on, it doesn't matter. Everything that you should be doing should be in step and almost in reaction to whatever your kids need. And to me, that is not a wise approach to motherhood because it it really strips your growth. We get this child, um, and we're going through so many things like neurologically and so many physical changes, so many chemical changes, and we get this child. We have no experience, zero experience in motherhood at all whatsoever. And then the world is telling us, forget everything that you know about yourself, forget it all, just figure this out. Just figure out motherhood. And then we don't bring the parts of ourself into our motherhood journey. So then we feel even more lost because we're like, how am I supposed to navigate being a mom and navigate this child when I'm chipping away at pieces of myself? I've lost my personality. I've lost my flag. I've lost my swag. I've lost my vibe. I've lost so much of me. And yet I have to be a whole person for a whole other person. And so it's very contradictory, this expectation. And, it is one that for a lot of us as mothers was modeled to us by our own mothers. We watched our moms make so many sacrifices in the name of motherhood, so much so that as we grew up, we would hear our mothers say, I didn't do that because I had you. Meanwhile, we know now that you can do a lot of things and be a mother. It's not, doesn't hinder you from just doing anything. Like if someone were to say to me, yeah, I was going to, um, I don't know, take this Viking cruise or something, and I never went because I had a child. It's like, what does you buying a ticket somewhere, getting on a cruise ship and traveling have to do with you being a mother? Now, if you decided not to go because motherhood changed you so much neurologically that you are no longer interested in that, well, that's, you just don't want to do it anymore. You don't want to do it. But to say that you couldn't do it because you had children, there has to be more to it. There has to be more. Just because you have kids is not it's not a setback. Children are not a setback. So this societal pressure um, starts to open us up to all of that. And it can really start to brew some resentment for our children. And who wants resentful moms? Do you want to be resentful of your children? I imagine no. So that's a bad one. It's one we need to be not buying into. The next one is that mothers are naturally patient and nurturing. So, a lot of times what happens, and this is, I experienced this, and I've worked with a lot of participants in workshops and participants even in group coaching who have had a similar experience where you have your child and you bring your child home and you're having a really hard time like connecting. You thought the nurturing like there would just be like a trigger, like a light switch, and like, oh, I would be so nurturing and I would know what to do and I would know what these cues mean with my child. And that's not actually what happens. You are Motherhood is a relationship, it's a role, and it's a responsibility. And you're learning the relationship as you go, and you're building that. You're learning the role, and through all that, you are 100% responsible for this child. And I'm specifically talking about motherhood and the motherhood experience, regardless of if you have a supportive partner with you. My husband has been supportive very much in parenting this whole way, and there are still things that I've experienced that have been unique to the motherhood experience. So I'm specifically talking about this here, but there's not a switch. We may not just feel like we got it when we have our child. We don't really know what's going on. The doctor sends us home with this child and basically says you are responsible for this child now. And so we're up, you know, leaning into the crib to make sure our child is breathing because we're so scared of SIDS, like sudden infant death syndrome. We don't want to have our child just not make it through the night and then they get sick. And we're like, oh my gosh, how are we supposed to deal with this? And they're not eating right. So why aren't they gaining weight? And there are so many things that we're thinking about. And then as they get older, there are more things. It's like they start walking, but they're not walking at the same level that the neighbors' kids are. So comparison comes into it as well. But there's nothing the only natural part about motherhood, I think, is the conception of a child. Like the action of conceiving a child, and that's assuming that that was even easy, right? That is the most natural part of it. There's no like mother instinct that kicks in, at least not in the way that we are sold that it will happen. For me, the mother instinct was like, oh my gosh, I need to protect this child at all costs, even though I don't quite know even how to protect myself. Like I just feel like I'm out here and I'm just prey to the world. I don't know what I'm doing. So now I'm scared and I'm uncertain and I'm uneasy and I don't know who to talk to about this. And all I can think about is I've been told my whole life that this is just gonna be natural, that I'm just gonna get it. I'm gonna become a mom and it's just gonna be like, oh, flooded with knowing how to nurture and knowing how to mother. And that's not true. This is just not true. So that is a expectation that you really don't have to buy into. It takes time, and as our child reaches milestones, so do we. It's like, oh, your child's 3 months old. Great, I've been a mom for 3 months. We both have achieved some things here, and I'm learning through the process. And then as soon as you get good at one thing, something changes in your child, and you have to learn something new all over again. So it truly is a growth journey. Motherhood is not a destination. It is absolutely a journey. So how could we arrive at it with everything that we are supposed to know? That's a lie. So that expectation is just a lie. Number 3 is that mothers are the household managers. Now, this one creates this idea that women, mothers, are just holding down, raising children, nurturing children, and keeping up with a household. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. This whole situation right here, maybe not everybody's watching video, but I will tell you this whole setup and frame looks great. But everything to the left of me is atrocious over there. Okay. And it's not because I don't care about it. It's because there are other things that I prefer to be doing than tending to whatever's going on over there. And so what happens is we start to feel this pressure to keep up with everything in the home and be able to manage inventory on everything in the home and to manage all these domestic duties that are really branching from these gender roles that said, women are more fit to take care of the things at home. And now we're stuck doing it. So back in the day, and I'm not a historian, I just read a lot. And some of these may not be exactly factual, so you can fact check me. And if I'm wrong with some of them, I'll be okay with it. But the the amount of time that women, married women, moms, had spent in the labor industry are really not they're really not counted. Like, women have spent a lot of time in the labor industry, and Black women especially when we were the capital, like, we've just spent so much time just working and being working moms. So there was really a small amount of time in history, like by the numbers over the years, where it was put on women to be like homemakers. Because when when our economy ran on like households, basically you were farming and doing things like that where you generated income through doing work at the home and like bartering and trading and things like that, then women were a part of that. We were actively a part of that with our husbands. So if we were, let's say we produced cabbage or something, like, we went out there and we did that together. And then the husbands would go out and do whatever they were doing as far as making deals or whatever. But women, if their husbands weren't available, were able to do that as well. But then I believe it was with the industrial revolution when men were taken out of the homes for these jobs, when those jobs became available, it was basically like, okay, well, not everybody can go to work, these littles are at home. And so we've decided, we as in whoever the upper echelon of people, some men, decided that, okay, the women will stay home, like the women will stay back, and now they'll take care of everything in the home and it'll fall on them. And so there has been a disconnect over the years. There was never anything biologically within women that specifically says that we are the better homemaker. There are things that we do better than men. Like, we can process a little more information, we can process multiple tasks, we can manage multiple tasks, but that doesn't mean that we can only do that in the home. So us trying to chase that expectation and live up to that, to work full time, be married and have a child and still like have this pristine looking house, is this expectation that puts so much pressure on us to now we're working around the clock, because you get up and you tend to your children, and then you go to work, and then you come home, and then you tend to the house, and you tend to the children, and you tend to your spouse. And then when everybody goes to sleep, now you're up trying to tend to the house because you were out of the home for 8-9 hours. You're running out of you. So now you're up trying to keep this image of this beautiful home or whatever. And now you're sleeping like 4 hours or 5 hours in the night. And then you're like, oh, well, I don't get any breaks. I can't sleep. I'm the mom. I'm responsible for all these things. And that is societal pressure that you do not have to buy into. You do not have to buy everything that you are sold. You do not have to carry that one. Let that go. It's really being the type of mother that works for you really comes out of being the type of woman that works best for you. And it's really about being authentic. And so if you are the type of person who it's not a stress, it's not an extra to come home and keep your household tidy and all of that, and you are completely fine with that being 100% on you because you actually don't feel it as a burden. You're just like, hey, this is my thing and I like to do it. Great. If you are someone who doesn't want that to be your thing, don't do it. You don't have to hold all of that. And I do want to just say that I mostly work with married moms. But I have a lot of women in workshops who come through and who are single moms. And I mean single moms who the other person is not actively involved um, in the child's life. So that's when we have to start talking about other alternatives. Like, okay, what can we outsource? Who else is in your village? Who else can help you? But there's never been a time where like any of this is supposed to be just on the mom, just you. Like it's not ever supposed to be just your responsibility. And if it has been for some time, we need to start working through some ways where we can get some things off of you and start building support systems and looking to community and different things like that. But that's for a different episode. Right now, we're just going to talk about these societal pressures. I just went on a tangent. But that tangent was just mothers aren't the household managers. They don't have to be. If you are, that's fine. I know in my household, I do manage a lot of the things. But I'm not the only one who's running around here cleaning and shopping and, getting things together. And I'm not the only one doing laundry. I do kind of set the schedule on things that are happening a lot of the times, but sometimes it's my husband that's taking the lead on that. And both of our decision making, like we are basically on the same page with we are making decisions that move our family forward, and we are making decisions that are in the best interest of our daughter, and she is the center of our universe and our us as individuals. It's very important that we keep ourselves as individuals well, and it's very important that each of us are protecting our well-being, our well-being and happiness consistently, and our family unit is important to us. So we do the things that we need to do together to make sure that that stays strong. Number 4, the last expectation, and this one, in my opinion, is the most harmful one, is that motherhood is the ultimate joy of life and that children will complete you. Now, my favorite part of motherhood is the relationship that I have with my daughter. And sometimes that relationship is hard. And now that she's older, she's 6 now, we definitely have more of a relationship that's developing, and we get to talk and hang out, and I can kind of see the fruits of the work that my husband and I have put in raising her and exposing her to different things. But when she was like in the first year of life and everything was just crying and she could not tell me what was wrong with her or what she needed, that was not fun. That did not feel like the ultimate joy of my life. I did not feel like I was fulfilled. I felt like I was challenged. I felt like I was losing my mind for a little bit. And a lot of moms, a lot of women, what is it, like 1 in 4 women um, are diagnosed with postpartum depression or anxiety or some type of postpartum mood disorder, and that has nothing to do with the people who don't ever come forward and get diagnosed with these things. So there's a lot of women who were cracking after motherhood, and then people are telling us, well, this is the ultimate joy of your life, you should be so happy, and you're not. Then you're not happy, and now you feel isolated and you don't know what to do because you feel guilty to tell someone that you're not happy and you're struggling and you're in this haze. And that was one of the reasons why I developed Beyond the Haze, to help moms in those first 2 years of motherhood to really thrive and understand the resources that they have at that time, for you to understand what is normal. We get this. It's like, oh well, it's newborn for you to have, or it's normal for you to have um, the newborn blues or the baby blues or whatever. It's like, well, who? It's not normal for me. I don't want to feel like that. So who can I talk to? Where can I go to not have to feel icky in these um, couple months of bringing a baby home? So that is something that we are told, and that's a societal expectation, and it creates this pressure where we're like, we're hearing that this should be such a joyful time, and that this child, I should feel so fulfilled by this child, and I should feel complete by this child, and I should feel the best that I've ever felt because I'm a mom now, but I don't. So now what? And now you think something's wrong with you. And if you felt like that, I just want you to know that there's nothing wrong with you. You have been reborn as a mother, completely reborn as a person through motherhood. And because of that, because you have been reborn anew, there should be absolutely no expectations put on you to perform any way other than, hey, you are new here. You are new to this. Let's support you. Let's love on you, and let's help you grow through this. That should be the only thing that society is telling you about motherhood. And if you can't get it from society, you can surely get it from me. So just to do a recap of the societal pressures, let me unlock it. Number one was that motherhood is the sacrifice of self in order to be the omnipresent caregiver. We're not doing that. Number two, mothers are naturally patient and nurturing. We are not. Mothers are the household managers. No, nothing should say that we are by default needing to manage anything. And number four is that motherhood is the ultimate joy of life, and that children will complete you. That's not necessarily the case. It's not the case for all of us. It's not the case for many of us. It's not the case for, I don't know, what are there, like, maybe there's like 70 million moms in the US, and I don't even know if 50% of us would say that. I don't know. And if none of this resonates with you because you just feel differently, that's fine. Completely fine. I don't want you to start going back and thinking that you should feel these things. That's not what this episode's for. That's really not what any of my episodes are for. It's really about, if you are feeling any of these things, if um if motherhood derailed you in any way, this podcast is my way to help you get back on track and to say to you, hey, I get it. It's okay that you don't feel anything positive right now in motherhood. If the only part of motherhood that you can say that you enjoy right now is your child, is the fact that you have a child and you love the smell of your child, you love the look of your child, and when your child is sleeping, they just look so peaceful and you just love that. And then as soon as they wake up and they start screaming and all that, you're immediately like, I don't like this. This podcast is for you, because I see you and I get you, and I know that we are up against so many unrealistic expectations and so much pressure from society, and not just society, like, other women. Like, sometimes other women are not supporting women, and then that becomes tough, and then you're comparing yourself to all these other things that you are seeing. But I want you to know that I see you, in that growing into motherhood is tough, and the motherhood journey is tough, and it can be very challenging. And I'm here to tell you that once you adopt a new approach to motherhood that truly prioritizes your needs and supports you in practicing self-care in a very beneficial way, you will start to feel much better. So if you're not already on my email list, if you're not subscribed to the podcast, please subscribe, and you can join the email list at backtoyou5.com/gems, because I like to keep them super gemmy and super real and super inspiring, motivational, while also holding you accountable to how your life looks in the long run. So that's it for this week's episode. And that's a wrap on season 14. So I'll see you in a few weeks for season 15. And again, if you're interested in joining our last cohort of 2024, you can go ahead and enroll at backtoyou5.com/reconnect. I appreciate you being here, and I'll talk to you very, very soon. Bye. Thank you for listening to What Self-Care Looks Like. Again, I am Brittany Elliott, a self-care and mom life management coach. I help working moms change their approach to motherhood so they can feel vibrant, empowered, and fulfilled in their motherhood journey. My group coaching program, Reconnect, is built around the 5 wellness pillars that will help you feel the most whole as you balance your motherhood role with your personal needs. So be sure to check in with yourself using the free wellness quiz at backtoyouin5.com/quiz.